Hello and welcome to your post-match reaction video to Rangers' 8-0 win over Queen's Park today at the stadium. It was quite a satisfying afternoon. Again, there's a comment here, the very first comment, sweet revenge. That's what you two guys were saying before the pod. I just think it's showing our dominance and showing how well we're playing at the moment. So I'll get my two co-hosts back on. Doug, how are you?
Yeah, good. Obviously, a very enjoyable game. Nice to see us play well and to see all the new signings playing well as well. So perfect day at the office, really.
You agree with that, Graham?
Yeah, good performance. Scored some goals as we hoped we would in the pre-match podcast. Looked very convincing right throughout. So yeah, give us all a bit of confidence for some of the players, especially those that scored, those in the fringes. All in all, good 90 minutes and we're through to the next round.
Doug, I'll let you get your James Tavernier appreciation in at the beginning of the pod. I can't say that I was expecting to get a hat-trick today and certainly wasn't expecting to score from a corner. You giving him that second goal?
Absolutely. The rule is if the ball is going to go in with anyway, then it should go to the attacker. So that for me, that goes to Tav. Yeah, good performance. You couldn't ask much more. I thought he ran the game pretty much from right back and then from centre back as well. So yeah, perfect day for him.
And staying with you, Doug, what do you think we can take from this as a whole? Is it just a good win over a lower league side, or are we building on something, do you think, here?
No, I think it's all part of the building. I mean, we've got the perfect comparison in terms of comparing it to last year's match where, it was a real struggle and, they played out their skin as well. But, going into these games, we should be looking for comfortable victories. But even then, even you're not even in comfortable victories, you're not necessarily expecting to score 8. So, this is closer to what we should be expecting to see Rangers do in games like this, which they haven't done necessarily because we do huff and puff and we do struggle sometimes. Whereas this one, as I say, we came in, we were on top from minute 1 to minute 90, scored lots of goals. We looked really comfortable. The players looked a lot more. They just looked like they were enjoying themselves a lot more. That there wasn't so much sort of sitting on their shoulders, and for me that comes down to your manager. Taking the pressure off, getting them to play well, and obviously, you're still taking account of the level of the opposition. But if you can do that in a game like this, it still means the patterns of play are there, particularly for things like our set pieces. Like our set pieces, it's night and day from just 3-6 months ago. There's variety in there. We were doing the short corners. We had Tav doing his sort of swing ins, and we got joy from both types. And things like that are really good to see. And it's all these little pieces, the fine margins that all kind of add up to just improving week to week.
Not that I was expecting a particularly difficult game. I think all of us predicted quite a high-scoring game before the match. But the manager, Graham, Danny Rowe, before the match, half-time, and even at the end, there was no sweat, there was no fear in his face. He was cool as a cucumber, as they say.
Yeah, very much so. And I think he brings that coolness and collectiveness across onto the pitch as well with his demeanour. So he very much is a manager who leads, and that behaviour breeds behaviour right throughout that team. And I think we're beginning to see that embedded within us. So, fantastic afternoon, some good goals. A few different goal scorers again, which is a positive. Some good performances in there. Very positive afternoon. And very much now the focus is on Motherwell, which will be a far trickier game and a bigger test for us on Wednesday night. But a lot of positives to take for today, both individually and collectively as a team. Doug talked on the set pieces and what a threat we're becoming from set pieces as a team. The job that set piece coach has done since he's come in has been phenomenal. So yeah, very good afternoon. None of us thought there'd be 8 goals. We thought there'd be goals, but we'll certainly take the 8.
One player that I think you mentioned before the game, Doug, was the goalkeeper Ferry. Had the kind of game of his life last time he was there. Well, it's a game of his nightmares, I think, today, because 8 goals and the kind of couple of mistakes that he's made as well. I don't want to focus on them, not at all. What we'll do, we'll turn to the players that we thought. I mean, there's going to be a lot of players we could probably mention had good games, but let me come to you first, Doug. Who do you think stood out today, other than James Tavernier?
I'll give a shout to Nadiri. Obviously getting on the score sheet. He looked like he was up for it, and I thought he played well. And I mean, like you say, we can happily pick pretty much anyone from the 11 that started that played well. But as I say, I thought it worth picking him out, getting off the score sheet, something that his peers haven't done when they came in. So hopefully that's a positive sign that he's going to go on and keep scoring.
And what did you make, Graham? We were talking before we went live again that kind of we're hoping he got a hat trick just to kind of not seal anything, but just to make it nice for him to score, nice for him to get a couple of goals. But it would be nice for him to get 3. The commentators mentioned it a few times. He's on a hat trick, and my youngest daughter's asked me, "What does a hat trick mean?" Because I don't get too many of them, I guess. And saying that, Miovski got one recently as well. But what did you make in Nadiri's performance today?
Yeah, I thought he was excellent. I thought he led the line really well. Technically looks very good. I think getting the goals early is really key. And I think that's where the other two have struggled at the start of the season when they've come in. It's taken them a while to get on the score sheet. So Nadiri to come in and score twice was fantastic. He'll do his confidence the world of good. But he looked a right physical threat, but technically very good as well. And he probably had other chances where he probably could and maybe should have scored as well. So 2 goals, it could have been more, but a very good performance. But as far as catching the eye, I thought Romans really caught the eye at left back. I thought he was outstanding. And him and Ant-Man linked up very well, and we were extremely dangerous down that left-hand side in the first half. So again, Ant-Man, that'll give him a lift. That performance as well. Played some good stuff, but I think Romans is going to turn into a very good signing for us. Very good signing indeed.
There was a couple of quotes in our Taxes chat, Doug, during the match that Ant-Man was kind of scared of a tackle. What did you make of Ant-Man's performance?
Yeah, I thought he was good. He showed a lot of positivity. Another player, he was kind of moved around a little bit, like Graham said there. He was good on the left-hand side with working with Romans, but then, equally when he got moved to right back, in the second half, I thought he played well as well. A lot of our attacks in that second half came with his involvement. So a really good shift from him. And again, just hoping that that's something you can take confidence from, because I do think there's a player there, and hopefully he can push on. And we had good. I think the majority, all but maybe one of the substitutes, played well when they came on as well. And that's something that we'll need in the run-in. You need players to come off the bench and contribute. And so, if we can get these players all performing well and be able to contribute, then that's a bonus for moving forward.
Graham, what did come to pass was bringing Nadiri off after 60-odd minutes, which I think I said before the pod, which I thought was going to happen, and we wouldn't have to worry about that. No strikers on the bench and go with Miovski. Now, Miovski obviously gets a goal. I was going to say I didn't think he was involved much in the game up until that point. The other thing I noticed as well with the changes was Ant-Man going down on the right-hand side, him and Olsen kind of overlapping a few times. So it was nice that when it's very difficult because a packed defence, they very much were struggling to get out of the box or out of the final third, to be honest with you. But some nice performances, some nice changes in tactics. And again, as Doug mentions there, the subs coming on, making, not making a big difference, got a couple extra goals, but at least the quality's not dropping off anymore.
Yeah, there's always that threat, especially being so far ahead at half time, that any changes that we make, it would break up our routine and we would lose some momentum. But we didn't have that at all today. That hunger and that desire was still very much there, which is a real important trait that we're going to need over the next few months as we go into this league running. So the desire from everyone was probably on the whole pretty good. Doug, you probably hinted on one player that didn't maybe make too much of a contribution to come in. We're going to get that, especially in the games 5 up at half time and all the changes, and the game's really done by that point. So it's always difficult to bring players on into that environment, but the desire was fantastic. We kept going at it. We still looked as if we were hungry for goals, and we didn't let the momentum drop too much at all, which is exactly what you're looking for in a Rangers side. So ticked a lot of boxes today. And that was with resting quite a few players as well today. So a few fresh legs to come back in on Wednesday night as well.
Graham, the BBC don't have Chukwueze down as having 2 goals. They put the first goal as an own goal. I think that's fair enough. I don't know if he gets any touch on it. It's very slight, but certainly kind of hits off the defender's leg. Would you give it to him, or would you say it's an own goal as well?
I think at first when I seen it, I did thought it was his goal, but when you see the replay, I think the ball deflects on and off the defender. So even if he did get the touch on it at the near post, I think it was probably the right call as the own goal, which is a shame obviously for him, but then didn't he half make up for it with the finish in the second half anyway? I thought he took that goal really well. Nice wee link up, played in the build up too. So he still got his goal, which is good. But again, very, very strong performance for Chukwueze as well. I think a few people have said that through in the comments. He was one of the real good performances that we've seen this afternoon.
There was a close-up of him and one of the Queen's Park players in the second half, Doug, and I've got to say he looks bigger than even I thought. He was like double the size of the boy.
Yeah, I think it's something that Danny Rowe really has picked out and targeted in the January window, is to amplify the physical aspect of the team. I think it's something that fans picked up on quickly in sort of the early parts of the season, that we looked a little bit weak physically. Basically, we had a relatively small team, and we were kind of losing a lot of physical battles. And I think I'm sure I've said it on earlier pods. It's something that was an early indicator to me that Danny Rowe was going to be at least an early success, because he picked up on that and mentioned it in some of his pressers. And we've had periods of time, particularly under like Clement and Beale, where fans were sitting there going, how can you not be seeing all of these things that we're seeing? So to have Rowe come in and immediately, we've touched on it in the first the pre-match, picked up on long balls. He's picked up on the fact we need to be more physical. He's addressing issues that we're seeing as well. And for me, as I say, I think that's a real positive and really speaks to hopefully a positive future, because all the signings we brought in look like they're solid individuals, and like you said, Chukwueze absolutely is one, and will bring a lot of steel as well as technical ability into that midfield.
And Doug, staying with you on that one, how big a difference has that made to your set piece conversion rate? Because I said to my daughter, there's like when we got a corner, I said that's as good as a penalty, because we're scoring an awful lot from set pieces. Obviously, there's a few today, but it's not just today. It's been the last since Scott Fry came in, I guess. But having these bigger players must be a big benefit to a set piece coach, I would say, over the smaller kind of players we've had maybe in previous seasons.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we've touched on. I can't remember if I was on the pod or in the chat today, but someone mentioned Raskin. A lot of his goals came from kind of back post and when he found himself free. But when you look at particularly the crosses that we were making today, they were all right in that central zone on top of the goalkeeper. And in that zone, that's when particularly in Scotland, you've got all your big sort of centre backs, and you really have to battle to get your headers, and having more physical players will help with that. We've seen it already with Fernandez, who he's an absolute unit at his height, and he's come in and immediately become a goal threat. And it's something I mentioned last season, that our defenders just didn't. I say defenders, our centre backs specifically, really didn't contribute much goal wise. And really in a successful team, I'd be looking to get at least kind of 5-ish goals from both centre backs, and that would be how they would get them, from corners primarily. And it's good to see that obviously certainly with Fernandez anyway, we're getting that back, because again, small margins, these things matter. If you're having a tough game against a side that are well set up and they are physical and they're winning battles, having a team that can step up to that and equal them will make the difference. And it'll be games where we have matches like that where the strikers just aren't on form, or we just can't create. That's when set pieces will come in and make the difference. So it's great that we're seeing that happening.
I'll come back to you not for final thoughts. We'll go another couple of minutes, Graham, but like man of the match, does anybody other than James? I'm just going to say we'll give it to James Tavernier because he's got a hat trick. You can't be arguing over that. But who stood out to you today?
Chukwueze, I think, was probably up there. Romans was probably up there as well. Nadiri not too far behind with his 2 goals, but apart from, obviously, I think Doug will give it to Tav as well, right enough. But Romans and Chukwueze, it's good to see new players coming in, contributing, playing really well. can see that they're going to add value. You can see they're actually going to make a difference and improve that starting lineup, which is what we've been crying out for. So, probably Chukwueze and Romans, mentioned Nadiri as well for his 2 goals. But, it was a good performance as a team. It was a professional performance as a team. Clean sheet as well, which was good. So, so many positives today. We've done the business. We've put the wrong of last year to right today from the result from the last year's Scottish Cup. So, all in all, very positive afternoon. I think very big week for us, and it's exactly the way we wanted to start this next week.
Graham, you're, I think, our newest podder, so I'll just have to give you a word of advice on picking Doug's man of the match, whether it been James Tavernier or not. You are underestimating how big a contrarian Doug actually is. But I'll come to Doug for that. Is James Tavernier your man of the match?
A hat-trick and an assist, may I just add? He's the obvious choice. I mean, anyone that scores a hat-trick is going to be hard done by if they've not got man of the match, and see an assist on top of that. And like I said, I thought he just kind of played well all round. But I think everyone that Graham picked out, Chukwueze had a really good game. Nadiri getting 2 goals. Romans, as I said earlier, I thought Ant-Man was really good. Everyone was solid. I thought that was Scott Wilson's best game as well. He had a couple of decent shots that had he just maybe placed them to the side rather than centrally, he'd have probably got a goal himself. So it's good to see him developing. As I say, pretty much everyone in the starting lineup. Maybe, as I say, Miovski did maybe go a little bit missing in the second half, but I thought the rest of the starting lineup all looked good. Giga looked solid as well at the back. Kelly, he didn't really have anything to do, but as I say, Tab's the obvious one, but it's just good to see people playing well all round. I'll be Mr. Negative for a second. I'll bring up the one negative that I thought from the game, which was the fact that Sterling had to go off. I don't know what you guys think as to whether that was a planned substitution or not. I kind of feel like if it had been planned, we'd have seen Suter come on, but I just feel a little bit worried that, when I saw him in the lineup, I was like, oh, that's good. That's probably going to be about 60 minutes for him. And to see him going off at half time, I don't know, maybe I'm worrying about nothing, but
no, I don't necessarily disagree with your worry, Doug. I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait for the press conferences to see if anything comes out, whether it was an injury or he's pulled something. But it certainly doesn't seem. I've seen this before. Like he's not particularly robust, and I would like him to get a good run of games. Doug, do you know when the draw for the next round is?
Not off the top of my head. I presume it would have been this afternoon, actually, because were we not the last game, excusing the fact there's been postponements?
Possibly. I just wonder if it was maybe on just now and we should have maybe waited for the draw to come out. But Graham, we're through to the next round. Obviously, they're through to the next round as well after their miraculous extra minute of injury time to get an equaliser and put their game to the extra time. So that's fair enough. We didn't need it today. I guess I'm not going to say you're not happy with the performance, but an enjoyable afternoon all round, do you think?
Yeah, what we were looking for when we talked before the game was some goals. We got that. We were to look comfortable. We were looking for some good performances as a team and individually. And we got all that. So I don't think we could have asked for much more in the build-up to what I think is a huge week for us. So, yep, hopefully the Sterling thing isn't an injury again. That'd be really unfortunate. You wonder maybe if he's been managed in terms of minutes and he might start Monday night at right back position. The manager's done that a few times for some games where we need a bit more solidness at the back. So we just need to watch that space and see what the manager says in the full-time press conferences. But hopefully it's not another injury to Sterling, because he's not a great track record in terms of his fitness and avoiding injuries. And it's the last thing he really needs, and probably the last thing we need for this run-in as well, is for him. We want him fit and gives us a few options in there as well. So, yeah, if we've avoided injuries, it's a very good afternoon for us.
Yeah, well, Graham, thank you very much for being on the pod, the post-match and pre-match. Yourself as well, Doug, thank you very much. Was there any update on that?
Yeah, the draw's at 9:30 tonight. There's still Stenhousemuir and Falkirk to play, so it should be around about 9:30 tonight. We'll find out the draw.
Good stuff, mate. Thank you very much for being on as well. So, through to the next round, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Just leaves me to say, before I say that, Please follow us this week. We have pods all, I think, every night of the week during the week next week. So, yeah, look out for that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments at the side. And remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night. Good night.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.